Welcome to Tahirih Justice Center's Journey to Justice virtual event in Houston. We are Cynthia and Chad Mabry, and we are thrilled to be your co-chairs for this very special evening.
We're so glad you're here. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I have to say, it may not be so easy to make it through the next half hour or so without feeling your heart swell, your eyes tear up for just a moment or two. You're in for a very memorable evening.
We're going to have a great time tonight with some amazing performances and powerful stories of personal triumph. So grab your snacks and get comfy. And if at any point you feel inspired to tweet, post, or share anything on social media, please use the hashtag #JourneyToJustice. Our program will begin shortly.
Thank you, Cynthia. I am so happy to be a part of this special event. You know, this is the first year we've had an auction event. And I can tell you, we have put a lot of effort into creating a variety of interesting packages in a wide range of prices. For instance, there's the Tootsie's shopping spree, or a glorious 4-night stay in an amazing 3,000 square foot home nested in Sugarloaf Mountain in Colorado. I hope you see something or several things that you can't resist. And please, be generous with your bids tonight. Every dollar makes a meaningful difference in the lives of Tahirih clients.
again, and thank you for joining us. Tonight, we'll be celebrating, just as we've experienced the seemingly unending challenges of the past year and a half or so. And really, that's a spirit of Tahirih, isn't it? To come together and share in these survivors' journeys to justice, no matter what the universe tries to throw in their paths along the way.
That's what we love about this organization. The mission is so important. The immigrant survivors of violence we are standing with face a kind of violence and danger that no one should have to experience. And yet, they show enormous strength and resilience in the face of seemingly insurmountable barriers.
Over the last year, we've formed unforgettable Tahirih connections with many of you, from Tahirih leaders and team members to our fellow supporters and all the resilient survivors in their fight for justice and equality. We want to extend our special thanks to our supporters in Houston who are helping us transform our local community. Your ongoing support helps Tahirih address the needs of survivors in our own backyard. Thank you.
Now let's get this show on the road.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us for Tahirih Houston's 2021 Journey to Justice virtual event. That's a mouthful. I'm Melanie Lawson with ABC 13, and I am deeply honored to be your host for the evening. Now, many of you may know that I grew up here in Houston. In fact, I've been with Channel 13 for more years than I'd like to admit to, as a reporter, a co-anchor of Live at 5 and Eyewitness News at 11. You may also know that I have a law degree, and that's what makes being here tonight particularly special. Like Tahirih and all of you, I have a personal passion for justice. This evening, our theme is hope and healing, because yes, we've lived through yet another unprecedented year. Still tonight, we are celebrating the ways that Tahirih Justice Center has stood beside immigrant survivors fleeing gender-based violence, despite incredible challenges both here in Houston and all around the country. Now, I can attest to some of those local difficulties because I have to report on them every single day. Extreme weather, some of the highest COVID numbers in the nation, and alarming intolerance for people seeking refuge in our city and in our state. By amplifying their experiences in communities, courts, and Congress, Tahirih teams are making great strides in creating a world where all people share equal rights and live in safety and in dignity. As you will hear some of the stories from immigrant survivors about their personal journeys to justice in 2021, please know that you played a vital part in those journeys. So we want to thank you for your generosity and your compassion. Tahirih is rooted in and inspired by the teachings of the Baha'i faith. So in honor of this, as we begin, let's share a moment in prayer.
Gather all people, gather all people, gather all people beneath thy shade. Gather all people, gather all people, gather all people beneath thy shade. Cause them to unite in harmony, make them as rays of one sun, as waves of one ocean, ooh, as fruits of one tree. May they drink from the same fountain, be refreshed by the same breeze, receive illumination from the same source of light. Oh, we are all thy servants. We are all thy servants. Oh, thou kind Lord. Oh, thou kind Lord. Oh, thou kind Lord. Beneath your shade. Oh, thou kind Lord. Oh, thou kind Lord, oh, thou the omnipotent.
Gather all people.
Thou art the giver,
Gather all people.
the merciful, the omnipotent.
Gather all people.
Thou art.
And what a gorgeous start to our evening. Now, we know you're here because you believe in social justice, and your presence here tonight can help build a new vision for the world, one based on justice and equity, offering real hope and healing not only to survivors of gender-based violence, but to all of us. So let me tell you how you can support these efforts tonight. To bid in tonight's auction or to make a donation, just visit the website you see on your screen to register, or you can text Houston Virtual, all one word, to 243725. Now, if you need help during this event, you can always email Ron at ronl@tahirih.org. In just a moment, we're going to hear from the CEO, local luminaries, and Tahirih leaders who play such a vital role in furthering the mission and spreading the word to others. But first, don't forget, there is still time to register for the event. Go to bidpal.net/Houston Virtual. And please stay tuned because there is so much more to come this evening. Special performances from Christine Mills and Tito Puente Jr., a powerful 2020 impact video, and a spoken word performance by Outspoken Beam. You definitely don't want to miss anything. For now, please join me in watching Tahirih's campaign to defend gender-based asylum.
25 years ago, a 17-year-old girl named Fazia came to the United States seeking protection.
She stood up against a forced polygamous marriage and female genital mutilation. Violence she was experiencing because she was a girl.
Her legal case was hard fought because our asylum laws don't make it crystal clear that someone fleeing violence because of their gender is worthy of protection.
Fazia eventually won, and her case opened the door to allowing women to seek asylum in the United States.
This case was groundbreaking, especially because we know that gender-based violence continues to be a massive global problem today.
At least 1 in 3 women will experience physical or sexual violence in her lifetime.
Almost 3 out of 5 women killed around the world were killed by their partners or family members.
And more than 3,000 transgender individuals have been murdered around the world over the past decade.
Unfortunately, people escaping these and other deadly gender-based harms, women who have been told by their governments that it can't or won't protect them,
still face a long and difficult journey to finding safety here in the United States.
Why? Because the process for women seeking asylum is complicated, convoluted, and requires a lawyer who knows the ins and outs of this very complex area of international law.
So since 1997, the Tahirih Justice Center has helped more than 30,000 individuals and their families seeking safety in the U.S.
30,000 survivors wanting to break familial cycles of violence.
Who said no in a culture or society where their voice isn't often heard.
Quienes querían una vida mejor para ellas y para sus hijos.
And over the last 25 years, we have seen firsthand that this complicated and convoluted legal process isn't enough.
Many women who deserve protection still can get it.
Because our outdated asylum laws don't clearly recognize gender
as a ground worthy of protection.
So we're doing something about it.
We are the Tahirih Justice Center.
We believe that no one should experience violence because of their sex or gender.
And if they do, they deserve to have access to safety.
Join our movement to ensure equal access to justice for survivors of gender-based violence.
And help us create a world where all people can live in safety and with dignity. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for an evening of hope and healing to honor the resiliency of immigrant survivors. My name is Archie Piatti, and I'm CEO of the Tahirih Justice Center. After nearly 8 years leading our public policy work, I'm proud to take the baton from our founder, Layli Miller-Muro, who stepped down this past May. Tahirih offers free, high-quality legal and social services, accompanying individuals and families as they pave their path to safety. We track the systemic roadblocks that make it harder for our clients in unique and unfair ways. Based on this, we craft our policy positions to fight injustice, create equal access to protection, and build bridges to safety. Tahirih's work is national, and it's local too. Houston was the first office outside of our DC area headquarters. Our Houston team's excellence in client services, investment in deep community partnerships, and innovation in policy advocacy are awe-inspiring. During the last year, our Houston staff have been especially effective in amplifying the unique needs of survivors in the face of extreme challenges. These include some of the nation's highest numbers of COVID-19 cases, a preponderance of anti-immigrant and harmful state legislation, as well as the Texas freeze in February, which left everyone in this region without power and water for days. These events made it harder for immigrant survivors to access services and avoid perpetrators of abuse and exploitation, putting them at even greater risk. In coalition, the Houston team successfully advocated for Harris County to invest $500,000 for immigrant survivors of crime to seek legal representation without fear of deportation. The team also researched the impacts of COVID-19 on immigrant survivors to shape specific policy recommendations featured in 2 published reports. The Houston team is also demonstrating how to build community and collective power in partnership with immigrant survivors as agents of change. Survivors know the impact of gender-based violence on their lives better than anyone. They are the key to making meaningful progress toward a safer, more just Houston. Last month, Tahirih launched a new national hotline to provide critical information and safety support to newly arriving Afghan refugees. We're answering calls, connecting people to services, and sharing what we hear with the White House. As experts, we're gatekeepers to stable housing, healthcare, food access, and more for survivors fleeing violence. We know we have to help, and with your generous support, we're doing just that. Please help us sustain these efforts by following the link below and making a donation today. Thank you all for joining us and for your generous support, and I hope you enjoy the rest of tonight's program.
Thank you so much, Archie. In fact, hearing about all that Tahirih is doing across the nation and right here in Houston is really inspiring, and we hope you will be inspired to join in these efforts. Here's some of the impressive donations we are seeing here tonight, up to $13,977. Thank you to Enoch Varner, Dawn Jenkins, Rebecca Chavez, and Eloise Trimble. As a reminder, you can donate any time during this evening, or you can bid on silent auction items without missing a single thing. And your gift makes a huge difference. So to bid on tonight's auction, just click on the link you received by text message or visit the website you see on your screen to register. Now, if you need some technical assistance, and who doesn't sometimes, please email Ron at ronl@tahirih.org. Now, if you see something you like, don't hesitate. Just hit that bid button and check for text messages to see if anybody has outbid you. A sneak peek into the auction. You and one guest will have a chance, and maybe the last chance, to see one of the greatest musicians of all time, and that is Sir Elton John himself. What a great evening that will be. Or perhaps you want to take a long weekend in the Hill Country with a stay at Frenchie's Boutique Hotel and a gift certificate to Lulu's Restaurant. Just a relaxing time. We'd also like to take a minute to recognize sponsors before award-winning Houston singer and songwriter Christine Mills debuts her new video. It's called Blue Isn't Blue Anymore, and it's from her new album to be released on November the 14th.
for Bots is proud to be a platinum sponsor. We support the Tahirih Justice Center because we deeply believe in the pursuit of justice, and particularly for those who are unable to seek justice for themselves. Tahirih is providing life-changing and often life-saving services to women and young children around the globe, and they desperately need your help today. Please consider donating.
Wake up in the morning, can't get out of bed. Every blink's a bolt of lightning right to my head. Open up my eyes to a brand new day. The first steps are the hardest, then I'm on my way. Isn't blue anymore, and gray is no longer gray. Lord, give me comfort, take my pain away, 'cause blue isn't blue anymore. Feel a little brighter though those chips are down. Swim against the current till I think I'll drown. Oh, my heart will never darken. You keep my spirit light. Armed with your strength, I will win this fight. Isn't blue anymore, and gray is no longer gray. Lord, give me comfort and take away my pain. Blue isn't blue anymore. 'Cause blue isn't blue anymore. 'Cause blue isn't blue anymore.
Wow, what an incredibly moving performance. And I have to say, I am so proud of our Houston luminaries tonight. And that includes our upcoming guest, Dr. Jody Berger Cardoso, who's an associate professor at the Graduate College of Social Work at the University of Houston. Dr. Cardoso has spent the last decade and a half working with immigrants and partnering with humanitarian organizations like Tahirih that provide legal and mental health services to immigrants and refugees who have experienced trauma. But first, let's take a look back at the impact we made just last year in a video narrated by actor, comedian, and dedicated Tahirih ambassador, Rainn Wilson.
Baker Botts is proud to be a platinum sponsor. We support the
2020 is a year we'll never forget. Just 3 months in, the pandemic hit, creating a new reality that would change life as we knew it. For Tahirih, it meant finding innovative ways to continue the important work of advocating for immigrant survivors. For survivors, it only added exponentially to the life-threatening barriers they were already struggling so mightily to overcome. Women and young girls had survived horrific forms of violence, both in their homeland and here in the U.S. Now, thanks to COVID-19, 2020 brought more instability and insecurity. Many lost their incomes, then their homes, and their ability to buy food and necessities. But they didn't give up on their dreams, and neither did Tahirih. Tahirih's mission to create a world in which all people share equal rights and live in safety with dignity never faltered. In fact, times like these seem to bring out the best in people who have their hearts and minds in the right place. People like you. You rose to the occasion and helped make it possible for Tahirih to continue our work, virtually in most cases, and to provide additional resources to ease the pandemic's impact on our clients during an especially challenging time. In 2020, Tahirih teams around the country supported immigrant survivors through direct services. We provided training and education to enable communities to meet the needs of survivors and helped frame the national dialogue on immigration. We fostered lasting change through nonpartisan advocacy and advised the transition team for the incoming administration. We worked to end child and forced marriage in the United States and triaged emergency requests for assistance from 25 states and nearly every region of the globe. As immigrant survivors of gender violence fought for their rights, we fought with them, just as we have since Tahirih began in 1997. As of today, through an award-winning service model, Tahirih teams have answered more than 30,000 calls in 5 cities of serious need. And what will Tahirih do tomorrow to support those seeking justice and safety in the United States? With your continuing support and energy, everything in our power. We see a world without violence just ahead.
Hi, good evening. I'm here to talk to you about the role of mental health in legal service provision here in the Houston area. My name is Dr. Jody Berger Cardoso, and I have collaborated with Tahirih Justice Center since 2012. The ways that I help Tahirih Justice Center is I help talk to clients about their trauma history and their trauma narrative. And I help clients and attorneys understand how trauma affects the mental health of our clients. And I've found that this process of conducting mental health evaluations in the context of immigration court cases really does help clients tell their trauma narrative in court. And it really helps the judge and others understand the impact of trauma on the brain. To be able to elicit a trauma narrative requires training, and it's something that attorneys are not trained to do. And that's why the mental health legal collaboration is such an important one, because it really provides clients with a way to tell their story in a system that is not trauma informed. And that is the work of the mental health legal collaboration. Another thing is that when clients are feeling better, when they're doing better, when they're less depressed and they're less anxious, they're able to participate more actively in their process. They attend court on time. They attend their appointments on time. They're better parents. They're better employees. They're better community members. And all of those things play an important piece in the legal process in showing the judge and the court that this client is a client of good moral standing and is a client that will participate and be active in their local communities. So I've found that the legal mental health collaboration that I started back in 2012 with Tahirih has really benefited clients. It's really benefited my students at the University of Houston to understand how mental health intersects in other areas of people's lives that might be physical health. In this case, it's immigration law. And it really helps attorneys understand the role of mental health in how clients experience their trauma and why it's so important for them to stay in the United States. And not only to identify those things, but to absolutely articulate them in a way that others can understand. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Dr. Cardoso. Well, it's clear that being informed about trauma is central to the legal proceedings and to empowering Tahirih clients to be their own best advocates as they partner with Tahirih in pursuit of justice and a better life. Now, the funds raised this evening will continue to support the mission and support survivors like Clara, whose courageous story we are about to share, as narrated by her client advocate, Javier Arturo Dominguez. But first, let's find out more about Tahirih's groundbreaking work.
Good evening, y'all. Jessica, Mari Carmen, and I are thrilled to be with you to talk about our direct services here in Houston. We'll be sharing how we go about our critical work fighting alongside survivors locally, and how we use an interdisciplinary model of services to work closely with clients on their journey to justice. At Tahirih, we believe in the oneness of humanity and strength in unity. We unite our legal work with our social work to address the challenges survivors face. We know that it is not enough to simply win a client's legal case. Advocacy for immigrant survivors is most successful when they have the social support to make the most informed decisions in their cases.
That is right, Guadalupe. And that is why our social services team provides case management support for our clients. In order for our clients to fully engage in their legal cases, it is important that they have access to basic needs that are far too often overlooked. Whether it is securing housing, employment, medical care, or connecting them to mental health resources to help them cope with the ongoing impact of trauma. We use an empowerment-based approach that aims at educating and supporting survivors, giving them all the tools they will need to self-advocate for themselves in the future. Although direct services are crucial, our social services team also understands the importance of community. For that reason, our Houston team offers trainings to community members on issues that impact our client population. Our interdisciplinary model ensures that the Tahirih attorney, social worker, pro bono attorney, and client form one unified team where the client is at the center and making all the decisions. After all, they are the experts of their own life experiences. At Tahirih, we are working hard to fill the many gaps that exist to make sure that survivors can live lives free from violence.
Right. And as we try to fill the gaps we see, we know that there are still so many obstacles for survivors to overcome. Our immigration legal system is no different. Exacerbating this is the climate of fear and rejection that people who seek asylum and other immigrants face here in Texas and around the country.
Definitely, Guadalupe. Despite that pervasive fear, though, 2021 also brought a lot of change. With the new presidential administration, we saw new policies, case law, and procedures. Cases had to be reevaluated, filings needed to be updated, and strategies needed modification. What isn't new, though, is the ongoing detention, the brutal treatment of Black immigrants, and the mass deportations we continue to see, effectively turning our backs on those fleeing unthinkable violence and returning them to face more danger. And of course, like all of you, we're continuing to do this work through the challenges presented by COVID. Now that immigration courts are reopened, our legal team is dealing with the impact of delays from long-term court closure. We're working together supporting documents in a COVID world, meaning that each step is a little bit harder than it was before. Families are dealing with loss. Survivors are facing unemployment, food insecurity, and housing struggles. There's always something new on the horizon, and the challenges of working within an unjust system still remain. But our team is staying flexible. We're working to meet the ever-changing needs of our community while zealously advocating with and for immigrant survivors of violence. Tahirih is pressing forward, which is possible thanks to the immigrants with whom we work, our communities, and you.
Yes, it is truly thanks to the Houston community that we can continue our work with survivors. While our direct service work with individuals and families is absolutely critical, it is our policy and advocacy work. We are making bold strides to end gender-based violence once and for all. With so much happening in Houston, from harmful federal immigration policies to local natural disasters, leaving so many in devastation, we were able to continue our advocacy on multiple levels at the time when it was most needed, as Archie previously highlighted. All of Tahirih's work, our critical social services and powerful legal advocacy, our policy work, and engaging with community members is all thanks to the incredible Tahirih team, the resilient clients and survivors we are honored to work with, and the monumental support from the Houston community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Clara, and I am 24 years old. I left Honduras, my home country, when I was just a teenager, but there was never a home for me there. When I was very young, my father walked out of my family to live with another woman. My mother struggled financially on her own, trying to feed her children. Left with no other option, she made the heartbreaking decision to embark on the dangerous trek to the United States to be able to provide for us. While she was away, we were transferred to multiple family members' homes where we lived with many different people. In that turbulent time, sadly, I endured emotional, physical, and sexual abuse from strangers and even family members. We were also targeted and threatened by gang members because they found out my mother lived in the U.S. and was sending us money to survive in Honduras. My home country was never safe for me and my siblings. Our only choice was to leave. In desperation to protect our lives, in 2014, we made the difficult choice to flee to the U.S. Upon my arrival, I was detained by U.S. immigration agents and sent to a children's immigration detention facility. Fortunately, I was later released to my mother, who has taken care of me ever since. Because I was apprehended by immigration agents, I was placed in immigration court and was at risk of getting deported. I was scared and saddened that I would get deported back to Honduras. My prayers were answered when my mother found the Tahirih Justice Center in Houston. They took on my case, and I felt that finally I would be protected from having to go back to the abuse and violence that I escaped in Honduras. My attorney filed my special immigrant juvenile status and residency applications, but the immigration agency demanded that I needed additional evidence to support my applications. Despite submitting evidence demonstrating my eligibility, My applications were wrongfully denied. I was crushed. Thankfully, the Tahirih Justice Center immediately appealed my case, but unfortunately, the Board of Immigration Appeals sustained the denial. I lost hope, and I remember thinking that this was it. Immigration was going to send me back to Honduras, back to the abuse and violence. But my lawyers stayed with me and never lost hope. They fought through and never wavered. They fought tooth and nail to overturn the denial. They even put together a litigation team in another city to file a federal lawsuit against the government for unlawful denial. I had waited almost 5 long years for my visa and green card. During those years, I became a mother of 2 beautiful children, and I kept thinking about what my life would be like for me and my children if I returned to Honduras. I kept thinking that any minute an ICE agent would come knocking at my door to take me away from my home, a stable home I built here, a safe place where I could finally rest and heal. Then one day, in September of 2020, I got the news I've been waiting for. My denial was overturned. I won my residency, and I won my protection. My case was finally approved. The Tahirih Justice Center gave me hope, even when I thought it wasn't possible. They showed me that my fight mattered, that my life mattered, and I would not get deported back to Honduras. Because of them, I no longer have to hide in the shadows. I no longer live with uncertainty. I can finally work legally and provide for my son and daughter. I'm home. I'm safe.
How incredibly moving. And stories like Clara's remind us of why we're all here tonight. Their courage and their resolve in overcoming frightening experiences certainly deserves our attention and our support. With your generous gifts, Tahirih can walk alongside many more survivors like Clara as they find their way to safety and freedom. Now, each dollar donated has a tremendous impact on the lives of so many survivors. $100 makes it possible for a trauma survivor to see a doctor. $500 secures emergency housing for an immigrant survivor and her child. And $5,000 covers an entire year's worth of legal and social services for one immigrant survivor who is fleeing violence. So please show your support, and remember, your gift really makes a difference. Now, we want to go back and look at some of our donors here. We're up to almost $21,000, and we want to say thank you to Debbie, to Renee, to BD, and Morgan and David. Thank you so much for your generosity. And thank you again to all of you who have already donated this evening. It's so fulfilling to see your gifts and to imagine the many ways they will help to change lives. And now it's my real pleasure to introduce a Houston luminary you've probably seen a lot of over this past year, even if you're not from around these parts. We're talking about our mayor, Sylvester Turner. Mayor Turner has put in more than his fair share of time helping to lead the COVID-19 response to keep our city's residents safe during the pandemic.
Good evening. I'm Sylvester Turner, Mayor of Houston, Texas. It is my pleasure to speak to you tonight about what you all are accomplishing by supporting Tahirih Justice Center and its impressive clients. I love the theme of tonight's event, hope and healing. Here in Houston and around the nation, we continue to face enormous challenges, a pandemic that continues to threaten our lives, and for the women and girls we are honoring and supporting tonight, the frightening struggle of fleeing violence in search of a better, safer, and more equitable life. We are more than ready to find hope for a better future and the opportunity to heal together. I believe we can be hopeful and that we will heal. But the hard work is not finished. As we stand beside the survivors who are fighting for their lives, we must also acknowledge that there are always people in the shadows, eager to exploit those who are most vulnerable. While Houston is a welcoming city, owing much of its greatness to the contributions of immigrants and refugees, we cannot close our eyes to the violence that many of them face, even here on their journey. This is why we should all be proud to be a part of organizations like Tahirih that makes it their mission to speak out, take a stand, fight for change, and offer the important legal and social services these immigrant survivors must have to build the lives they choose. Tahirih has entered a new era this year with Archie Piatti as the new CEO and Lubaba Abdullah as the new executive director for the greater Houston area. I congratulate them both, and I look forward with great confidence to an exciting time of hope and healing with these dedicated champions of human rights leading the charge, and all of you at their side.
And thank you to Mayor Turner. We appreciate all you do for our city. Well, now you're in for several treats in a row. First, Tito Puente Jr., who crosses cultures and generations with a high-voltage celebration of his legendary father, the king of Latin music, as he was known, including his mambo and Latin jazz hits, Mambo Goes On and Oye Como Va. Okay, I dare you to sit still for this part. And next, we'll hear a word from this year's auction chair, Michelle Gray. And right after Michelle, Houston's 2021-2023 Poet Laureate, national touring artist, youth mentor, and Renaissance man, Outspoken Bean, will bring us an unforgettable spoken word experience. And then Lubaba Abdullah, the new Tahirih Houston Executive Director, will speak to you about her vision for making our city a more equitable place for immigrant women, girls, and so many others seeking justice and a safe, peaceful life here.
Saludos a todos. Hey, everybody. It's me, Tito Puente Jr., and good evening, Houston. I'm so delighted to join you tonight in support of Tahirih. Their work is so important for the community of immigrant survivors of gender-based violence that I had to join in and help. In a second here, you'll be watching one of my latest videos remixed with footage of my late father, Tito Puente. But first, I'd like to share with you that Tahirih's work is so needed and that if you can, please consider donating tonight. Your support helps provide free legal services and free social services to so many deserving women and girls. Please support Tahirih and be generous. Okay? Now here we go. On with the show. Que viva Tito Puente. Huepa!
Sounds fast to you, but this is supposed to be an exciting, fast number. Because we don't have a fast number so far. Right? We don't have it. So this will be like a finale. See? For Carnegie Hall or Madison Square Garden or wherever the hell we go, that'll be the finale. Now we'll set up the routine now. Let's go to the coda now, okay? Ladies. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
keep those bids coming. We have some great silent auction items for you this year, like the Jamaican catered dinner. How unique. Or if you're looking for something a little different, how about the art pieces? Please don't be shy. Bid away. No one will fault you for winning more than one item for this very important cause. Check out your bids and make sure to stay on top of them so no one outbids you.
My name is Emmanuel E. Bean, and I am the Houston Poet Laureate, and I hope this poem means something to you as much as it means to me. For us to trudge and to come together. Thank you for having me. This poem is for persons, people. We are the extraordinary, living among the ordinary who believe that ties don't tie the same around a white collar or a blue. My class is not your homeroom. I am a match. I burn at both ends. I just don't burn. For you, we are regular people. All my hair is a number that carries 10 digits in my pockets. I was given a pair to stare and I wear them in my sockets. I am a person, not a people. We speak the same language, even when it's not the same language. That's when the universal language of body movement comes in. I use the same 10% of my brain as you do. I wanted to use the other 90 so I could soak to the guru. I woke up early in the morning to catch a 7:30 flight, flew halfway around the world and landed in the night, climbed halfway up the mountain, got halfway in the village. When I reached the guru, he touched me and replied, merely a person. You may have been born on different days, but you created the same way, of the same basis, using the same clay. You are regular people. We are regular people. You are the starving child abandoned in Ethiopia. You are the rich kingdom hoarding a cornucopia. You are people. Well, excuse me, Mr. Shaman, man. I traveled a long distance to try to find some solutions, and now I found a man with all the answers. You only adding to my confusion. I don't want to be just one of the people, no. I want to ride the elevator to the top until I have no equals. I want you see, the top is where I've been. The top is cold, desolate, regrettable, yet unforgettable. I tug when you tug. As a reminder, the rope strands were once alive. When you're secluded, you die. You are, I am, we are. He is, she is, they are, you are. Free-floating molecules making up the body of the universe. You are the stanza, the mantra, the words, the free verse. Passports take months for you to receive. So when you walk, you're a poem in motion. You are, I am, we are. Seeds deeply rooted in the forest of poetry. Let my limbs reach you. Read my leaves and allow them to teach you. Guiding your bones on the way to the summits. Toss them, let them delete and plummet into the depths of one's soul. As you traveled your way on top of the mountain, you see, when you were on your way up, I was on my way down, because that's how we met at the middle. And you can't figure out the riddle that the way to escape the people is to become the people. To be fluent to the people. You don't have to agree with the people because, come on, you know how people be. You show them the truth and you know how people see. You teach them good morals, yet they choose impurity. So choose. What is your choice? Don't worry about your flaws. Subsequently, we're all equal. And I heard your people can build battle like towers. And I heard your people are craftsmen of steeples. Together, our people can build cathedrals one person at a time. Because we are all regular people. Thank you for having me.
Wow, thank you, Bean. We are all people, and the way to escape the people is to become the people. I'm going to have to mull on that for a little bit longer. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lubaba Abdullah, the Executive Director of Tahirih here in Houston. I joined Tahirih in January after more than 20 years of legal and nonprofit work in the Midwest. As someone with a long history of both personal and professional commitment to the immigrant community, as a Black, African, Muslim daughter of immigrants, I'm truly honored and excited to be a part of this important work. I think it says a lot about this organization that I'm only the second executive director in our 12-year history, and that our staff and volunteers have been a consistent and dedicated force who are fierce advocates for immigrant survivors. This certainly makes my job easier, as I have the privilege of working with experts who serve our clients' needs, share their knowledge with our community partners, and anyone else who's willing to join the fight against violence. I would be remiss if I did not recognize Ann Chandler, Liz Shields, our managers, and the staff at our Houston office who have been extra supportive as I've made my transition here. Our staff and volunteers embody Bean's statement that together our people can build cathedrals, one person at a time. So thank you. Thank you to all of the amazing Houston staff members, our volunteers, our advisory council members, and you, our Houston donors. Of course, COVID has affected our lives in ways we could have never imagined. It's changed the way we live, work, teach, and even connect with each other. It has put more burdens on women, especially women of color, who carry the brunt of managing children in households in times like these. Right now, we are in a major battle, and we must not let anything stop us from coming together as a people. As we embrace tonight's theme of hope and healing, we are determined to create a world we're proud to leave to our children, to all children, except we are only serving a sliver of those who are fighting for justice. With more of us speaking out loudly and with one voice against injustice, hope and healing are within our grasp. But to achieve that, we need more champions on our side. We thank all of our current supporters and invite businesses from all industries and community leaders to join us in this worthy pursuit of justice. We would love for our group of supporters to be as diverse and energetic as the women and girls we are here to stand beside. To all of you here now, thank you. Thank you for taking on all that you learned tonight and sharing it with your networks. And thank you for your generous support. And there's still time to donate. Your generosity helps build a better life for those fleeing violence and oppression. And to our survivors, please know that it is our privilege to stand with you on your journey to justice. In the words of Malcolm X, we need more light about each other. Light creates understanding, understanding creates love, love creates patience, and patience creates unity. Thank you.
And thank you so much to Lubaba. So believe it or not, here we are at the end of our show, and I have so enjoyed being a part of this evening. The more we understand the truth of what immigrant survivors face every day, the better we understand what it takes to support them on their journey to justice. Thank you all for joining us and sharing your time and resources to support their valiant cause. And right now we're looking at almost $25,000 there. Thank you so much for that. Stan Perry, Kathleen, Selena, and Kelly, we want to thank all of our donors this evening. And we have a winner, as they say. This is the winner of the Kendra Scott jewelry piece is Jennifer Howard. So congratulations to Jennifer. What a beautiful piece. We hope you will really enjoy it. Well, the Tahirih auction will be closing at the end of this program, so you want to check your bids and see if you can perhaps add a small gift. After tonight, don't worry, you can still donate at bidpal.net/Houston Virtual. And please remember your gifts, no matter how big or small, do such a world of good. And now we're going to hear from our event chairs about next year's gala.
Thank you, Melanie. This has been a wonderful evening. I've loved seeing and hearing what our incredible Tahirih Houston team has accomplished this past year. All of this is thanks to the generosity of our supporters tonight. Thank you all so much. You make this work possible. I also want to share with you that my good friend and great community leader, Rebecca Seidel, will be chairing this event next year.
Please save the date, Friday, October 21, and keep your fingers and toes crossed. We can come together next year and celebrate in person.